Hey, we're having a tragedy here in California, not far from us, and certainly not far from where I used to live in Ventura County, Thousand Oaks. A guy, another lunatic who the cops knew about, couldn't get committed. They couldn't put him away. This is the problem we keep having. After all, California has the harshest gun laws in the country, so it's not about the gun laws. He walked in and opened fire on a bunch of college kids at a bar, killed, I think the last estimate I saw was 12 or 13 people died, and a police officer, sheriff's department sergeant, Ron Hellis, engaged the suspect along with a California Highway Patrol officer. And according to the LA Times, Hellis was shot multiple times and died at a local hospital. You know, this is the thing that really has come home to me. Last night, Knowles and I were over at Loyola Marymount. You can actually watch this online. We had a wonderful, wonderful time. But the last couple of speeches I've been followed around by armed guards, and there have been armed police officers. I think there was security there last night. I'm not sure they were police officers. It's not a good feeling, to tell you the truth, to have police officers or armed men follow you around when you're just going onto a college campus to talk about ideas, which is what they should be doing on a college campus. But it does bring home to me every time I see it what a remarkable place this is, where the police show up to ensure your free speech. This is not true virtually anywhere else. And even in England, right, the second freest country in the world, maybe along with Israel, the police send out these warnings: watch what you say, don't insult the Muslims, don't say anything blasphemous about the prophet, and all this. And you can be arrested in Britain for speaking. Whereas here, the police show up to protect you. They show up to protect free speech. This is a beautiful, beautiful thing. This is a remarkable thing. So last night at this Loyola Marymount speech, Knowles and I are there, and Knowles and I are the two nicest people in the country, right? I don't think there's maybe I don't know, Julie Andrews, is she still in the country? But after that, it's me and Knowles. And these protesters show up and they gag themselves. They had duct tape over their mouth. And Knowles actually said to him, who gagged you? Oh, you gagged you. You were doing this to yourself. And one of the things we learned in this last election was that educated white people don't like Trump. And maybe they don't like Republicans in general. All these blue suburban districts where there were educated people went even more blue, and they became even more Democrat. And people are saying, as they always say, oh, Democrats are losing the educated suburbanites. They've got to learn how to talk to them. Well, yes, they have to learn how to talk to them. But the other side of this is we have to stop educating people to be idiots. We have to stop educating people and indoctrinating them. I mean, after Knowles and I talked, and you guys listen to us, right? You know what we talk like. After we talked, these people had to go off to a safe space and be reoriented. They had to basically be re-brainwashed in case we said anything that might have been too convincing or too truthful. They had to be told back, talked back. And we were told later, they were silent and polite at our meeting. I will give them that. But before, we were given audio and video of them screaming obscenities at the organizers. And we know that they took our words out of context. At one point, I said to people, look, I'm kind of a libertarian about the way you live your lives. I said, I'm too old and rich to care what you do. And they translated that into I was too old and rich to care about the problems of black people or something like this. And this is what they were telling them and echoing back to make sure we didn't get any new ideas into their heads. So it's only partly about Republicans learning to speak to educated people. It is also about what education is doing to people in this country. It's teaching them to be smaller minded. And I think one of the things that organizations, Republican on-campus organizations, should be doing is they should be actively going before the administration and saying, look, you have got to start hiring some conservative teachers. We should be able to organize debates between professors who are on this campus. We have got to turn this educational system around. It is fine for there to be left-wing teachers, but there should be right-wing teachers too. It is just absolutely disgusting. And they are teaching these people basically to hate free speech. They are teaching them that free speech is the problem. Free speech is the danger. The reason these people were wearing gags is our very presence, the very presence of Michael Knowles, the evil Michael Knowles. And I admit he is evil, but the evil Michael Knowles and the evil Andrew Klavan, and I'm a lovely guy, the very presence was gagging them, was somehow silencing them, was somehow harming them. And that kind of fragility is, it's just a terrible, terrible thing. And it is what is causing the stuff we are seeing now, which is absolutely horrifying. Last night, a mob showed up at Tucker Carlson's house and was screaming at him. Here's just a little clip of it. So Tucker's kids are in there and his wife is in there and they're screaming, "We know where you sleep." And even worse, Matthew Iglesias is tweeting out, "Oh, what about the people who are afraid of ICE? I have no feelings for Tucker Carlson's wife. His victims are afraid." Well, Tucker doesn't have any victims. He just has viewers. And there's a little knob, a little button on your remote control. You can just turn Tucker off like that if that's what you want to do. Tucker is expressing opinions, and if you are so damaged by his opinions, and I like Iglesias said, "I know people who have to hide away from ICE because they broke the law. I know people who have to hide away from the police because they've committed crimes." It's like my feelings don't extend quite that far. All Tucker is doing is expressing opinions. And his opinions are not egregious. He's kind of a libertarian conservative, more or less. He's expressing opinions, and they feel that they can respond to opinions with what is essentially acts of violence. Hours after this mob showed up at the home of Tucker Carlson, an affiliated Twitter account published his home address and the home address of his brother, along with the addresses of Ann Coulter, the Daily Caller's Neil Patel, and Sean Hannity. That Twitter feed that is doxing these people has not been taken down, but what has been taken down is Michael Knowles was suspended. A couple of other, a lot of other conservative sites have been suspended, but you can say anything you want if you're a leftist about Jews. You can say anything you want. You can reveal these things if you're, this is the way that educated people are now being educated into small-mindedness and stupidity. So if the educated people are turning against Republicans, it may not be the fault of Republicans. It may be the fault of the educations, of the education.